All right, so today is the Coach's Kickstart Club call. It is June 19th, 2019, and we are excited that those of you who decided to come on live are here. We're going to have a great discussion. Karen and I are going to share sort of the lay of the land for the next 50 minutes, and what we're going to be talking about, we're going to open up with a topic, and then we can end with general Q&A. Does that sound good, Karen, to divide it that way? Okay. So we're going to start with talking about coaching mastery. What that really means, how do we get there, what are we doing to improve our own skills, and how do we know that we're doing things differently or stretching ourselves and moving forward. We are going to also do a brainstorming exercise, and we will share the reason why in a bit. And then I think we just open up for general Q&A of what anybody has a question about. Last time we geared a lot towards the corporate side of things. So we'll just sort of see how it all flows. Good, Care?
Sounds wonderful, Jen.
Are you eating something?
No.
Oh, okay. I am still drinking coffee. I know it's noon, but I am doing that.
Water.
Oh, good. There, Heather, my friend in Canada. Okay, so let's start with having just a discussion about coaching mastery. I've been thinking about this a lot, and there's so many different things that people will say about what mastery is. Yeah, Kara?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to call a timeout. Before we get into coaching mastery, let's just talk, what does mastery even mean?
Oh, okay. So let's take the coach part out of it and just look at mastery as a general concept.
Yeah, because I think that sometimes it's like, I feel like that focuses us in one way too much in the beginning. So I want to kind of go like from here and then narrow it down.
Okay. So you want to go from here and you want to narrow it down.
Correct.
Right? So
yes,
okay.
Smart ass.
And I was starting here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to start here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So let's do that. So what does mastery mean when you think of mastery in general? Who wants to share? Just unmute yourself and let's have a discussion. You can type it in on chat. We prefer talking. When you think of mastery in general.
This is the interactive part.
Okay, Melissa's got it. Go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, I was just going to say the first word that popped into my mind was competence.
Okay, competence. Perfect. Carol did type in and she said being an expert. I'm going to ask it a different way.
Go.
Think of something that you've mastered, right? So it could be anything in life. Doesn't matter what it is, but something that you feel that you've mastered. Doesn't mean that you're not still pursuing how to get better, but in general, it could be cooking, it could be relationships, it could be coaching, it could be navigating, making travel arrangements. It doesn't really matter what the topic is. How do you know that you've mastered it? Okay, good. So Sarah wrote in, when things become second nature. So that totally talks to what I just asked, right? So things feel second nature. What else? How do you know that you've mastered something?
Love that. Confidence. Yep.
Who else? Knowledge. Okay, great. Accomplishment, comprehensive. And comprehensive knowledge goes together.
You know, it's interesting because Sarah says where whatever it is, the thing becomes second nature. And it almost, for me, I think about, well, it's funny, when you think about mastery it involves really no thinking. Like you're just in it and you're just in that space of where you don't even have to think. So it's just, you're just in a sense of being and there's doing, but I think a lot of it too is it doesn't just happen, it develops over time. And I feel like with mastery, I guess when I think mastery kind of thinking or mastery place. And then I think more of performance. And when I think mastery, I think more intrinsic motivation versus extrinsic motivation.
What's the difference between the two?
Because I think that the intrinsic comes from inside of you, where it's like what you want, like what you get fired up about, what it is that gets you to your feet to hit the floor and you be on fire. And then with a little bit more of the performance piece of it, sometimes there's expectations. It's a little more, Jen, of the performance. Sometimes I feel like is a little bit more about the have to versus the get to.
Okay, fair enough. Totally. I just wanted to sort of hear what you were thinking with that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other things coming in. Melissa says flow. And Lisa says, as an RN, it was when I could mentor to train. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if this even fits in, but when you were speaking intrinsic and the other one.
Extrinsic.
Yeah. I was thinking about what I view, this is just Jenn Barley's view, of the difference between motivation and inspiration. So I often feel that motivation is external and inspiration is internal. Mm-hmm. For me. And how those, so a lot of times to get motivated, we'll look outside of ourselves. If I could track it, I get in a group, I meet other people, I do X, Y, and Z. It's going to motivate me to show up. I keep a list, I check boxes, those kinds of things. And then the inspiration is happening regardless of some external factors with it.
Jen, it's interesting that you said that too, because I remember I don't actually remember which company we were working with, but I do remember pieces of the conversation and about the leader wanting us to motivate his people and us actually having the conversation with them that said that we're not going to be able to motivate them. However, what it is that we could do is what we could come in and do what it is that we do best and hope that they're inside, like they're inspired, which will then create their own motivation. But that we weren't going to go in and do any kind of, like, we don't motivate people, right? We're going to be as passionate and as fired up as we are to help them want to be inspired to motivate themselves.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Mm. Okay, so anything else, Kara, in terms of, I'm going to be up here with our big, because remember, we're going down here.
Yeah, you can go to your middle now if you'd like.
Okay, so when it comes to coaching mastery, what does that actually mean to you? Like, where I had started earlier was, they say things like, to be a master at something, you need to have 10,000 hours of practice to be able to be behind it. And I don't agree with that. I think some people do 20 hours of practice and still suck, right? And I think that some people can do 3,000 of hours and be amazing. So there isn't really time in the seat. It's really about knowing what are those behaviors. How does it actually show up? So when you think of coaching mastery, I'm going to do it in terms of actions. I know we have our belief systems about who we are and how that makes us feel, but what are the actions that would be present in coaching mastery? What do you guys think? Unmute yourselves. Talk to us. What do you think? What are some of the actions that are present in coaching mastery?
I think you're not connected to the story. You don't step in the box with them. It's you're higher up. You're not down low, kind of stuck in everything that's in front of you. You can kind of see the overall picture. It's not about you.
Love that, Kath. So that's sort of like the helicopter approach, and we stay there. So being sort of above the situation and not in the situation. So that means what I hear when I hear that is that we don't get triggered. Like, oh my God, that sucks. Or, you know, I feel bad, let me fix it for you. Or we believe the story, or we're in the story as opposed to the person. Okay, good. Who else?
Asking open-ended questions.
Yeah, right, Ellen? So it's so good to see you, as a little side note. Yes, the asking open-ended questions. And also from a space of non-attachment, I'll throw in there too. So good. Sarah, what were you going to say?
Hi, Jen. I was going to say it's when you've worked with all different sorts of people who've had all sorts of different situations to deal with, and you've done extensive studies and constantly read around your subject, and combining all of that together, you can just draw from all of that experience, all of that knowledge, and just apply it very lightly to any given situation, and be confident that whatever the coaching session throws at you, you're going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. I love that, Sarah. And so here's where my head went when I was thinking, is that almost like how it's taking knowledge to a space of wisdom, right? Because we get knowledge, right? So we have book knowledge. We can take classes. We can look at our notes. We can study different things. We have knowledge of working with different types of people. But when that sort of comes to a space of just that inner wisdom, that could be the mastery. I like it. Carol's at the library, so she can't talk. So yes, that's good. And she says, I would say one is being intuitive to all around oneself, and of course the non-judgmental. And Kathy says is NATO, which is not attached to outcomes. What else for mastery? Behaviors you would see, things you would see.
Me, I guess it's a practical one, because anytime I have a coaching Zoom call, if I'm in my home office, I always grab certain things. Like I grab my old mentor evaluation coaching form from IPEC, and I also grab this handy dandy KickStart Edge. It's just like my security blanket, and I have these things that I have in front of me just in case, right? So for me, I hope that the mastery looks like I no longer feel that need to have all these things in front of me when I'm talking to a client, and I'm really just fully present. And I try to just be fully present, but I kind of still need these tools.
Right.
Now.
No, I so appreciate that, because so when I think of mastery, there is a period when we're still growing into what it is that we're learning. So we have tools and index cards and different things around us, and we have our support system, and at some point those go away. True mastery is when new tools come in and we have those all around us, and we're trying a new competency, or we're trying a new approach, or we're trying to sort of apply things, tweak things, do things different, and at some point that goes away. And both of those can exist in the same space. So mastery is never needing, in my opinion, this is just my thoughts. Mastery isn't about not needing a tool. Mastery is about immersing yourself in a tool to learn the mastery, to let go of the tool, to say, or the structure or the help or the class or whatever it is that's supporting you. The mastery part then comes, what do I need next? And then how do I bring that into my life and be in a different spot with it? Anyway, interesting. It's just, I don't know. I like this topic.
You know, Jen, this kind of reminds me of that blog post that I had written a while back about the unconditional confidence, because I feel like mastery goes with unconditional confidence. So what we had, Jen and I had put out a while back, was a blog about having 3 different kinds of confidence. And one is like made up confidence. So that doesn't help at all. Like we're just kind of kidding ourselves, where it's a lot of ego that's actually involved with it. The second is what we call conditional confidence. And this shows up a lot because we're only confident, and our confidence depends on our most recent result. So we're confident as long as we're doing well. We're confident when things are going well. our confidence is going to build, and it's going to build and it's going to build until something happens and things start to go sideways. And then we go, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be able to do this, or I'm never going to be able to do that. And then you have the downward spiral. So then what it is that I feel like mastery is so tied to is unconditional confidence. So it's what comes from inside you, I guess. Like I was talking a little bit before, it's a little bit intrinsic. So it's about you believe in yourself. And the biggest part about it is that you, excuse me, you don't have to get things right all the time, but it means that you can handle whatever comes at you with unconditional confidence. Your self-worth doesn't depend on, okay, great, that coaching call was great, or that coaching call was horrible. It's just, you just show up, if that makes sense.
Take a little sip of water. Okay. Well, it does, right? So, and so the ebb and the flow, right? So if we just take that into the last thing, we may have conditional confidence with different tools in front of us that then goes to unconditional confidence. The mastery part is knowing that you have the ability to handle whatever comes your way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And I feel like too, with mastery, there's more in the moment happening than anything else.
Yeah.
I kind of think this is what you're saying too. And this is the ICF, associate coach and master coach. This is where the difference for me is. And I gotta be honest, some days it's associate coach and some days it's master coach. It just depends. But the real difference I felt like was you can get on a call and address the issues on the call, right? Boom, you got you one, let's go. Mastery seems to be that next level of what you all call the thing behind the thing. And it's more than just in the moment, this is the fix. It is a long-term big picture fix. It's understanding the why.
Yeah.
Yeah, Catherine. And if you think about it, it's understanding the why and not getting attached to the why.
NATO, baby.
I feel like I should go take a photo of our license plate.
All right. So love this. So then obviously as coaches, we all have a huge passion for this whole thing called coaching. And we're in different phases of our own personal journey. And I guess it's about, if you were to think about continuing the process of you as a coach, wherever you are, right? So some of us are just starting out. Some of us have been doing it for a long period of time, etc. I guess it would be, what is the one thing that if you focused on it, it could be a skill, it could be an approach, it could be a concept, it could be a business even related. What if one thing that if you focused on it, it would get you closer to mastery or keep you in flow of mastery? Because I'm not here to say who's and where they are with anything. So either get closer to mastery with coaching or keep in the flow of mastery of coaching. What do you think it is for you? What would be the thing that would say, this is going to kick up my game, where it's going to take me from knowledge to wisdom? Kathy wrote, it's a tough question. It is a tough question.
I like that question too, Jen, from knowledge to wisdom.
Yeah. Go ahead, Melissa.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think when I really am honest with myself, it's really just about taking more risks and just putting myself out there in places that I don't feel 100% comfortable.
And is that risk in the coaching session, or is that risk?
Yes, maybe yes and no. But what I'm really thinking of is like getting out, there's just getting out in front of more potential clients and selling my services and talking about what I do, and, really reaching out to corporations that I would like to work with and just saying, hey, let's talk, and then not knowing exactly what that conversation may even look like, but just having the discussion to see what they need.
Love it. That's good. Because I want to just tie another thing that came up to mind for me with the mastery thing. Part of mastery is to be able to effortlessly be able to share what you do without, however that flows, right? But who you are, what you do, why you do it, it's passion, it's part of just screams the essence of who you are without feeling like a 60-second elevator pitch that you've had to practice. And so that's great. And then being able to because then more people are going to say yes. That's going to give you the more practice to be able to use the tools, to be able to, all of it comes together. So part of mastery is that it is who you are versus something you've rehearsed saying, and everybody's had to go through the rehearsed saying. I mean, Karen and I just changed our Kickstart Your Edge corporate statement of what we do. Are you laughing, Karen?
Yeah, because I still can't remember it.
And it's new, and I love it. And I will tell you, we have a big whiteboard wall in my office at Jersey. We wrote it down there. We have it on Post-its. I have stumbled over it 18,000 times. It's new. The statement is, we build play-to-win culture for bold consumer brands. And here I am without a tool to be able to say it, which has only been new. But part of that is because it has to become who we are, and and so it's just an interesting concept. I love that you shared that, Melissa, because it's so true. At some point, we're going to master that statement. Right now, we're still practicing, so that's good. So Sarah, I love this. So it's about niching down, saying no to opportunities outside my areas of interest. And the cool thing is based on how you described mastery, it's a lot of knowledge, different clients, different people, different experiences. And sometimes we have to say, I have enough of the different types of clients. Now I really want to just get lasered in on a certain type, be able to find some of their repeatable challenges and the things and speak their language and talk in their world and be able to master the situations these types of clients find themselves in, which is good. So that's awesome. Good. Carol says, I agree, feeling comfortable in sharing what I do and getting positive reactions to go to the next steps and getting more clients. Love that. And Heather says, sharing what I do. So that's interesting, right? So a lot of things popping up here about being able to talk about what it is that we are mastering in the process of mastering. Who else? Anybody else have anything outside of being able to talk with people?
And then you know what else impacts that is the person as well. Because I just was thinking, it is true whether you're associate coach or not, and it can depend on the client, right? And it can depend on who you're talking to and what kind of energy that is and what that brings out in you. And a session can be very different depending on how the client shows up as well. True?
Yeah.
I think a lot of things play there outside of just self.
Well, here's the thing. So yes, right? Yes, and so we show up to a coaching session and we do the best that we can in that moment based on where we are. And our clients can be amazing. Our clients can be reflective, and our clients can be a pain in the ass in terms of being a client, right? So all of it. The mastery part is how to not evaluate the performance no matter what the factors come in, right? So crappy technical challenges, or the client was really difficult, or they said, I don't know 15 times in the session. So how do we separate the evaluation of all of those factors and stay in a mastery mode?
And I think you're right then. And then that shows that statement I just said, that would be incorrect then. Because if you're in mastery mode, it wouldn't matter how the client showed up.
In theory. Or it would be then, okay, so if I'm mastering this, what do I need to do to master the I don't know person? Right? So it might require a little bit more studying or reflection or evaluating. So it depends on how you look at it. But I agree, Kath. I think it's interesting because often what we do is we say, what should I have done better in that session? Like, I wish I would have asked this, or I wish I would have done that. And that is more performance-based, where perhaps, I'm just sort of thinking out loud, mastery-based is, what do I need to do now to do it different next time? Two totally different questions.
I agree with that, and which is so positive, because what's your takeaway and how do you do it better? But then explain to me, there's sometimes that I can sit in a session and feel like that was kick-ass. I asked great questions, I was on top of it, and then I can sit in another question and stumble all over myself and can't get past what's right in front of me to ask a question that can stretch us. So I don't know what's impacting that.
So Kath, I think that a great experiment would actually be after those things happen, like after you're in the session when you're just like, oh my gosh, everything went right, you couldn't miss. Like, it's almost about doing an after action report on that. So what happened, right? What allowed that to happen? What did you do? What didn't you do in that session? What were some of the things on the characteristics perhaps of how the client showed up, and get all that information. And then different times when you feel like you're like, oh my gosh, I can't think of a question to save my life now. Like, then what's happening there? Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are the things going on for you there? And how did that client show up? And to almost do a little bit of comparison. So when you're here and rocking and rolling, what's happening? And when you're here and you're in your head and you can't think of a question, what's happening? And I'd be interested to see if it's more about the person that you're coaching or the meeting that you're in. And do both Kathy show up for both people, or does Kathy show up for Joe this way and show up for Bob this way? Or is it Kathy shows up for Joe sometimes like this and sometimes for Joe like that? So a bunch of variables out there, but I'd be interested in that part of it.
I'll pay attention, because I don't know. I mean, y'all are asking some really tough questions that I'm like, okay, y'all, I could think on this for a good 30 minutes and not sure that I could come up with exactly what it is. I just don't know yet. And yeah, I took a client yesterday that, I got to be honest, typically I wouldn't have taken. And I just said to myself, this will be great. It'll stretch me, you know?
How?
Because I'm not so sure they're really in a space that they're ready for coaching. I think they're in a space they want me to do it for them. And I got to be honest, typically I tell that client, you know, you're not in a space for coaching, you know? So it's going to challenge me to sit back and ask questions. I thought of you yesterday too, Jen, because I did that. I got kind of like, okay, this is going to be good for me. And I did that. Okay, so in 3 months, are you still going to be willing to sit in this space? In 6 months, are you still? And I did that, and that shook her. Like, I know that's if someone's holding, you know, then push it forward. So, okay, so we're going to be good here. And that really did shake her. So thank you for that.
Good.
And I think she's going to shake me a lot, and I probably would have just passed on it. So interesting. Always something new.
Always.
You know, when we were talking about how some sessions can go great and some are clunky as can be, I find that one thing that can sort of shift us out of being in flow or getting in our heads or stumbling around with a client is when in our head we go, shoot, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I got too much information, or, oh my God, that was so much, or there's 18,000 things here, or I am so lost in this story, I don't even know who I'm talking to anymore. So the moment that we pause and we say, I don't know what to do, that's when we move out of mastery. And I'm going to tell you the number one question to ask the moment you don't know what to do is just to say, okay, so what do you think will be most helpful right now? That's it. That is the only question to ask at that point, because you don't have to come up with the answer. And that's masterful in the sense of saying, it's not up to me. I don't have to figure this out, and the client's going to continue on the agenda. So, Kath, when you were talking about that, I know that has happened for me many a times. I'm like, crap, I don't even know what to do with all this, or what am I going to say, or shoot, we got 40 more minutes. I don't know. So that's a great way of being able to, in the moment, get out of the I don't know what to do. So that was just my mastery tip question of the day.
You know what, too, I think, Jen, a lot of times I've seen that happen is when you go into fix-it mode. It's you have to get somebody somewhere, or you have to try to, in your head, you're saying, okay, I have to try to fix this, or you feel like you're the one that has to come up with the answers. As soon as you're in any of those places, you're knocking yourself backwards. Because it's not your job to get the answers. It's not your job to get them somewhere. So it's not your job to fix it. So it's about going, oh shit, yeah, you know what? I don't need to do those things. And then asking the what's going to be helpful question.
I think that's an associate coach. I think you totally just gave that ICF as associate coach versus master.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have to get somebody somewhere. It's just like figuring out where it is that they want to go, and then, just being there with them.
Yeah, I will say that is like when I evaluate myself, that fix it thing will get me more times than it gets Karen. Because I'm like, oh, I got a great idea. Or let me help you out with that. Or have you considered, right? And even to this day, that is times that I fall back into that. And then that is the mastery at telling people what to do versus mastery of coaching.
But I also think too, when you first start out, and I moved past this finally, yeah, it's a constant thought process. But when you first start out, you think this person is paying to talk to me. I want to make sure that we have a conclusion, which causes us to run over, which causes us to do more. You want to make sure you have a conclusion or a true gotcha by the end of the call. So, all right, I justified my money today.
Yep.
I think we get in our own heads versus not, and I don't mean this mean, but not my problem.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
All
Yep.
right. So what else do you guys think? So we have the getting out there, talking to people, sharing what we do, feeling more fluid in that's going to help us step into mastery. But what else would be outside of that sort of part of it, do you think would help your coaching? Like, what's the one thing that would be a game changer for stepping up?
So to use
Okay, so we'll go Ellen first, then Susie.
So to use your phraseology of the thing behind the thing, that's what as a fairly new coach, that's what I always feel I'm struggling most with, is trying to figure out how to get underneath the story and figure out what that thing behind the thing is.
Love it. Love it. So I'm going to give a tip on that. So we have some interesting dynamics going on. I'm talking quietly because my mom's out there, about Keurig coffee machines.
Oh my God.
My brother and I want a Keurig coffee machine in my mom's homes. And they use traditional coffee pots. And my dad just passed away, and he was the only coffee drinker between the two of them. So my brother and I were like, good, let's get a Keurig, right? So talking about it with my mom, I said, hey, Mom, I heard you vetoed the Keurig in the house. And she said, well, I'm not going to set my house up for you guys. You're not around that much. And I started thinking to myself, because in the long run, it doesn't matter. But I started thinking to myself, what does the Keurig represent? And to me, the Keurig would represent, I would like you to be here more. That's it. I don't care if you drink coffee or don't drink coffee. It doesn't really matter. It's what it represents. So the interesting thing is that is a great question, because I found out then, what does that mean to me? And, it is her home. She can have whatever coffee system she wants. It's totally fine. A lot of changes going on, all of that. But that is it, Ellen, when I could say to myself, because I'm like, wow, she is being rigid on this Keurig coffee machine. But I'm like, but why do I care? And what does the Keurig represent? And as soon as I could see that, then I could say, well, is that really true? There's a lot of reasons I know that I'm welcome and invited. So whenever we're trying to learn the thing behind the thing, as we practice, ask yourself those questions, right? When your kids are really fighting for something important to them, what does the curfew represent? What does the permission represent? What does putting up their poster in their bedroom represent? When we're in our relationships, when we're in anything, when you're attached to wishing something would be different, take yourself out of the story and say, what does this item represent? So I just wanted to share that as a great way to practice, because part of mastery is not just doing it in coaching sessions, it's doing it with not everything to the point of obsession and driving ourselves nuts, but it's a part of the curiosity to say, oh, I just saw that again. Oh, that is the thing behind the thing. For me, I haven't figured out her thing behind the thing yet, but for me, that's what that is. So I just share that as a great way to practice that.
Great, thank
I
you.
didn't even tell you that yet, Kara.
Yeah, I have the utmost confidence in your ability to get that damn coffee Keurig in that condom.
Yeah. Nah, not yet. I'll have a plan, but someday it will be there. Right? All right. So great, Ellen. Okay. So Susie, what were you going to share about something that would help?
Well, for me, I sort of stumbled on it the other day, but it has to do with me trusting my own instincts as a coach and married with my coaching skills. And so, and really separating myself out as a person, because I have people-pleasing tendencies. So the other day, I was coaching someone, and she asked me this question, which did seem like she wanted me to fix it. But the question was so, like, my personal reaction and my reaction as a coach was like confusion, because it didn't actually make sense to me. So I went with, could you please explain that to me again? She said it again, and it was no more clear to me, because it just didn't make sense. So I had to say, like, look, I'm sorry, but could you re-explain it to me, because I'm just not understanding what you're saying. And then all of a sudden she goes, oh my God, it doesn't make sense. It's my fear talking. And then I was like, yeah, because I was able to just sit. I think I felt masterful enough and confident enough that I didn't have to quite have like some magic, big, profound coaching guru question. I just went with, I really don't know what you're saying here. Can you explain it? And it actually helped, really served her well. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. So it's continuing to rely on your instinct and your and what you're really hearing.
Yeah.
Right? So often we'll sit there and go, oh, I should understand that, or I should know what that means, or okay, I'll just go with that, as opposed to, wait a minute, let's just stop and what are you talking about?
Like if it was a head scratcher, let me just call it out that was a head scratcher.
That's right. So, yep. So, and that's really the mastery of the ICF core competency of direct communication, right? So being able to say, directly, I got to tell you, there's inconsistencies here. What's really going on? Or I am scratching my head and I am not putting the pieces together. Can you explain it to me again? Like those types of skills to be able to just very clearly be able to have some direct communication, as well as then following it with some kind of question to either get clarity or for a coaching perspective.
Right.
Yeah. Good. I was waving to Heather's daughter, who I adore, who I've met, and we've had lunch together and such in Toronto. So anyway, she just popped by. I don't know if everybody saw her, but I did, and I wanted to wave. Okay, so let's do this. Let's say we're going to do a little brainstorming, and we're going to brainstorm if you could wave your mastery magic wand and have the most available resources to you to become more of a master, right? So maybe, like I'll give an example. For me, listening to other people coach helped me with my mastery skills, without hands down. Good coaching, bad coaching, it doesn't matter. If I can hear other people coach, it helps me understand different approaches. It helps me think about how I would do it. It helps me to get some great questions. And it also helps me to say, what do I think would be different if I was to do it differently? So that would be an example. What about for you? Like, what resources, tools, ideas? What are you laughing at, Kara?
I'm just laughing at, like, that's just so you and Joanne. Like, laying in the freaking pool, listening to coaching calls. I want to drown myself. And these guys are listening to these, oh, and how would you change that question? And how would you change that question? I was like, you just shut it off and not listen. And now me, like and I'm not saying that I love coaching, but that's not an effective way for me to learn. I want to read people's, like, I want to read stuff, whether like research. I want to find people that are a bazillion times better than me at what they're doing and read the things that they have written. Like, that's the way for me to get better. So it's figuring out, you know, like I said, I'm like, I'm with those guys in the pool. I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Like, I can't.
She did.
I
actually said, I have to go. You guys are driving me crazy. And she left, and we were fine. And we're like, what? How can we support you in exiting quickly so we can get back to our recording?
Pretty much. But that's the thing, guys, figuring out what's the way that works best for you.
So I just wanted to throw out those examples to get you thinking. So if you could have anything at your fingertips, what do you think that would be? Sarah wrote in peer coaching and getting coached around real topics. So really, actually, the practicing of coach and being coached. Great. Good. Who else?
Wait, where do you find coaching to listen to like that?
Well, you got to remember that, well, there's a couple of different things. So not with Joanne in the pool, because that it would just, but people like in our programs, they have to do the mentor coaching and they submit transcripts and they get feedback on their coaching. I will support our other coach, Carrie, and reviewing what she does. And so that's a way that I am involved a lot in that. And then sometimes you can find them on the internet to just find some different types of things, or when people do coaching demos, or sometimes there's mentor classes that you can take, things like that.
Okay.
But the things that you're doing with all of the people that we work with that's not the stuff that's in the pool.
No. That's more for me, because we just share. That's what I said at the beginning. Joanne doesn't get privileged to hear anybody's stuff from our programs.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We've listened to
Joanne can
intensive
listen to my
talks.
stuff.
Say that again?
Joanne can listen to my stuff. It's all good.
Yeah. So like coaching intensives, things like that.
We've done a lot of that. I've taken a dozen of them. So
Yeah.
we would listen to them and then come up with all different questions.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we have podcasts of real coaching sessions would be amazing. Listening to other coaches and reading comes in from Cynthia. Heather says reading what others do would be ideal, but she'd be in the pool with us, of course. Carol, I wonder if there's resources from the ICS and haven't navigated. Okay, what else? Good. This is a great list. So I have reading articles, hearing different approaches, actually listening to coaching, being coached and coaching others. Anything else?
I like that idea too, because even on here, like, I know the scenarios you put on the Facebook group are great, but sometimes it's hard to read through all of them, and you don't want to post because you don't know if it's already been asked, or, you know, you just don't know. But even doing the same scenario on here and listening to people and their approaches is also very helpful. I've done that ever. We used to do that a long time ago, remember?
We did. Yep. So we should, so that's something we could do, right? So the scenario Facebook have discussions around different approaches and as well as different questions. All right, good. Anything else coming up? Yes, Sarah, obviously all of the trainings, which we love and we agree with, and other things. Anything else? I'm trying to think like even what yeah, I guess I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of listening. I do a lot of what I call deconstructing, like sort of listening to things and then breaking them down into sort of, what's really behind that question and sort of what's the flow. But that would probably just be listening to coaching. I just feel like that I wish there was just more great coaching sessions to listen to.
I think that's the key too, Jen. It's the listening to good coaching sessions.
Right.
I don't know about that, Sullivan, because the coach in one of the trainings you all did where we played the bad videos, that's a good way to feel really good about yourself.
Good point.
I still have this master. This guy's making videos. If this guy's making videos, I got it covered.
That's it. You should be on CNN.
Yep. Not a problem.
So let me ask another question. And Karen, Heather has a question that you'll be really great about the reading because you're good at referencing that. So I'll have you think about that. If you were to attend an all-day workshop focused on coaching, what would you love to see there? What do you think? Like it would be something that, and the idea would be that you would learn tools, tips, and techniques on how to be a better coach. Not so much the business side, but truly from the coaching perspective. If you were to attend a, 8-hour session, what do you think would be amazing about that? Or what would you like to see? And I'll tell you the reason we're asking. Okay, so getting feedback on coaching. Oh, that's actually a good one too. Okay, good. Practicing coaching, getting feedback. Good, that comes from Carol. Awesome. Other thoughts?
I'd say the same thing, even though it's kind of uncomfortable, like being in front of the room in a fishbowl and just getting up there and doing it and getting the feedback would be great.
Love it. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. Live scenarios with different coaching and asking questions. Good. Practice coaching and observing, which is good. Let me ask you this. Would you want a lot of exercises that you go through for your own personal development, like in general personal development, or more about, if we're there to do coaching, let's just stay with coaching and really work on coaching skills? What do you think on that? Different types of coaching. Good. You can even type it in chat. Would be all coaching or coaching plus PD. Mix of both.
I would want both too.
Want both. I know we all love to learn about ourselves, right? But maybe we learn about ourselves in relationship to the coaching that we're trying to do. But work on coaching with some. Okay.
But I think when you learn about yourself, that helps you be a better coach, right? Because isn't the whole thing of coaching is they say, when I have a good coaching session, I'm going to walk away with as many ahas as the client. Like I'm in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing is that it's true, because then the mastery comes into, okay, what did you learn about yourself and how is that going to make you a better coach, right? So being able to bridge that as facilitators. Different types would be good. Extreme scenarios, I don't know, etc. Okay, good. I'll download this. So here's the reason why we're asking. For a whole bunch of different reasons, but for the day specific thing, we are having, and the name may change and a lot of things may change. The date is not going to change. In November, on November 9th, we are having some kind of coaching-a-palooza event in New Jersey, where we're going to get together with coaches and do some kind of thing that really helps people with the skill of coaching. So it's a fun, one-day, easy to digest, but this is helpful with figuring out what's really important for people to learn. So whether or not you can come, it will help to shape what that event will be. So we just we have the date, and now we need to brainstorm. Okay. So Kara, you've been putting up articles, and she put up 3. And her phone's ringing in the background. So she muted herself. It looks like Prosperous Coach, about increasing income and clients. There's process-driven, there we go. Process-driven executive coaching, as well as coaching habit, less change forever. So those are the 3 different resources. And when we post this video in the Facebook group, we'll just put those links in so people have those. Okay, book suggestions. All right, so good. So here's the thing. Make this your summer of commitment to the next level of mastery, whatever that is for you. Sounds like we all want to practice our flow of speaking about what it is that we do, but then, is it trusting the instinct? Is it really finding out the thing behind the thing? Put together a plan about how do I do that even outside of coaching sessions. Remember the Keurig. What does the Keurig represent? All right, Kara, anything else you want to add? No, I have the universal wrap it up sign.
Wrap it up and land this puppy.
All right, good. Land in the plane. Good. Thanks you guys so much for being a part of this. And then here is to the journey of all of us just continuing to master what it is that we love to do. So on that note, Kara, we're out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Jen.
Bye, Kara. Good to see you.
Love you, honey.
Love you too. Bye.